That ambivalence is deadly. You have two powerful systems. You have nature system and you have the market system. What is really the relationship between the two? I come from that world that nature is infinite. And if something is infinite, why are you worried about it? You can cut, destroy, pollute with impunity, and somehow it will always be there for you. For the longest time, us in the markets left nature to people that cared about nature. We said, this is a world we don't understand. But that ambivalence allowed something to continue to happen. Markets that are far more resourced, trillions of dollars, far more politically powerful, to operate in a manner that was only extractive. So that ambivalence allowed the same behavior to continue with impunity because the technology has been developed only to extract at a faster and more efficient rate. With AI, robotics, all this stuff built on a platform of extraction, that means you're going to extract with impunity. And if we don't stop that, that's going to destroy nature. Now, when you destroy nature, what happens? It boomerangs back to you in something called climate change. When you destroy the Amazon, there are no rains. If there are no rains, what is going to happen to you? No food, no agriculture, no power generation. At the rate we're going, there'll be nothing left in a very short amount of time. That ambivalence is deadly. The current system has the provisioning side of nature. People like to refer to provisioning. Nature providing to us, either dead, as oil, gas, or living nature, but still from a provisioning point of view, fruits, vegetables, wheat, right? That's nature that's living, but is providing food, nutrition to us. So the markets know how to price all of that very well. We have to change that relationship to say, what is missing from this equation? It's the regulating side of nature. That's the part that markets never knew about. This is where I focused all my work, is on that side, is to say, hey, there's a regulating side of nature. If you leave nature alone, if you allow nature to live for itself, you, the markets, are going to benefit not only from the reduction of risk to your operations and to your bottom line, but you also can make money. So how did this moment eventually become blue-green future? How did this become a mission to connect the capital markets to nature, if you like, to the living nature? Well, that didn't happen overnight, and I can't claim that I had the vision. I was more like the accidental tourist, if you like. But the first thing was to learn that night from the experts themselves that whales capture carbon on their body and indirectly help to capture carbon through the fertilization of the phytoplankton. I had no idea. And so I was looking at the papers that had been written at that time, and there was evidence that whales capture carbon on their body. So I'm sitting with these experts, and I said, has anybody valued the services of a whale? And they said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I work for the IMF, and I provide a service. And for that service, IMF pays me a salary. If we were to pay her a salary, what would be her salary for grabbing carbon, helping to fight climate change? And I asked, whale meat, how much does it fetch? And they said it fetches about $40,000. So I started thinking, well, then what is the value of this whale alive? That's how it started. And when we did the calculation, a whale alive is much more valuable to us than a dead whale. Why would you want to kill a whale for $40,000 when a live whale is worth to us, to our society, $2 million? And by the way, I applied the same thing to the work with Fabio Berzaghi and my colleagues on the elephants. Same idea. Here's an elephant frolicking freely in the forest, living for herself, not even aware of human existence. She's enhancing carbon sequestration. This is science, it's not me, by 14%. But the story I'm telling you is about something that the markets have missed completely. When you bring back the bison, the original grass comes back. When the original grass comes back, the soil quality gets enhanced and the soil grabs even more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and sequesters it. You can also think of seagrass. My relationship with seagrass was going to a resort and hearing the tourists complain to management that when they waded into the water, their feet touched seagrass. This ugly thing touching my feet. I want to walk in, I want to see pristine sand, right? And so what do you see these resorts doing in the morning? Chopping away the seagrass. Well, I'll tell you what, that seagrass is worth gold. If you leave seagrass alone, the seagrass is clonal. It's like a tree on its side. When you protect it, it actually grows. Take, for example, if you plant 3 trees next to each other, after 30 years, there'll be 1 tree left because they're competing for space. But when you plant seagrass, after 30 years, there are billions of them. As long as you have space, they grow. Just in carbon sequestration alone, seagrass is worth over $1 trillion globally. Bahamas needed to get an idea of how large was the seagrass meadow. These guys came up with this ingenious idea. They said, wait a minute, who likes to feed on seagrass? Sea turtles. And who likes to feed on sea turtles? Tiger sharks. And tiger sharks swim much faster than sea turtles. They outfitted tiger sharks with 365 cameras. And after a certain period of time, it detaches and floats to the top, and they come and collect the video. Now, why a tiger shark? Because the tiger shark doesn't need a break, doesn't come up for air, and can swim up to 80 kilometers a day. So in no time, the tiger shark mapped the seafloor, and the finding was so huge. Turns out the Bahamas is sitting on 30% of the total mass of seagrass in the world. That's 93,000 square kilometers of seagrass. You're using nature to map nature. You have the science, you have the company that's doing the avoidance of loss, calculating all this. You have a company looking over their shoulder, asking, you're following with methodology? You have the platform on which everything sits. And once you do that, then we at Blue Green Future come in. We need to understand what the science is telling us about the physiology of this particular asset. Then BGF comes in and says, okay, based on this, we project that the carbon schedule over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, is going to look like this with the confidence bounds. Every action, every data sits on a platform that is not allowed to trade. No one entity does 2 things. He that looks and says, yeah, what's being done is correct. And that provides you, if you like, the assurance side. The technology we're using is digital MRV, and that could include LiDAR and radar, including sensors in the ocean itself. Putting all of that on a digital ledger that cannot be altered, and that makes it transparent to the market on a real-time basis. The first advice is to the local communities or the governments that own the asset, never sell the underlying. So what is it that you're really selling? So like owning an apartment and you're renting it out. You're selling one service of it, but you retain the ownership. Principle number 2, the money has to come back from the sale of the credits to look after that nature in perpetuity. And we have to recognize the role and responsibilities and the relationship of the indigenous local communities with nature, and try to bring scientific method with their methods and finding this nice medium. So that means the local communities and the indigenous people, and in general, the stewards of nature would also be benefiting. So that's the supply side of the equation, if you like. Forward contracts are important because they bring money early into the process. One of the mistakes done in Carbon 1.0 is we told the stewards of nature, hey, you got to do all the right things for the next 3 years and then wait till you get paid. Well, you have to understand who is sitting on nature, mostly in the global south, and mostly countries that are living hand to mouth, and hungry people hear you with their stomachs. So you're asking them to sacrifice while the investor is sitting on their money. But that's not investment, that's called a spot transaction. In the Carbon 2.0, it's the investor that has to wait. So the local communities get the money, see the benefit early on, and it's the investor who's being told, you get to wait. An investor in return says, okay, since I have to wait, and you're telling me life is stochastic, meaning can be unpredictable, I'm gonna buy it at a discount. And they say, yes, because that's what we do, risk and return. So what is the rate of return on investing in projects that BGF is involved in? In the case of the Bahamas, the minimum rate of return guaranteed is 25% rate per annum. That means if you put $1 million today, in 8 years, you more than double your money, guaranteed. But remember what you're really doing. When you protect and restore seagrass, not only are you getting the carbon credits, but healthy seagrass enhances fish stock. So that's food security for the people, because most of their food comes from the sea. When you have healthy seagrass, you're staving off flooding. You're enhancing resilience in nature. You're enhancing resilience in the people. You're stabilizing people on their land. For a company, that's your SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. This is the new paradigm. This is the win-win. 30 years from now, hopefully it'll be sooner than that, nature will be present in every conversation that we have. Investing in nature is not only ethically, morally the right thing to do, it's also financially. So this is the first time you bring all three together. You're going to make more money by protecting, restoring nature, and thereby creating jobs, alleviating poverty, keeping people on their land. My hope for the immediate future is our success in bringing some of these economies to the market, or the market cities, that it will generate a multiplier effect, that everybody else will be saying, why not us?